One. Hello again, Blenders. This is Marv De Leon, and thank you for joining us here at the Freelance Blend podcast. And I'm so excited to bring you our guest for today. But before that, I'd like to, if this is if you haven't listened to the podcast for a while, where I just would like to give you some good news that we're now on Spotify. So we used to be just in iTunes, in Stitcher, and other podcasting platforms. But now Spotify is opening up its platform for us podcasters. So I'm happy to announce that if you've been listening to the show from your desktop and you have no way, if you don't have an iPhone, so now you can listen to the podcast from Spotify. So just go to freelanceblend.com/Spotify and please follow us. I would really appreciate it. And I promised a few people that if they follow me on Spotify, I'll greet them on the show. So I'm fulfilling my promise. So I'd like to thank Gladys Serrano Unsay. Thank you for following us. Enteng Nabablit. I'd also would like to thank Reggie Baruan, Noel Estrada, and his business, his website is gofitnesscollection.com. He also has dreamgirlsfootsteps.com. So thank you, Noel Estrada, for following Freelance Blend. And we have John Fermin Guy Yoche, Joanna Avellana, of course, our assistant at the Freelance Blend, Freelance Blend, and Charm Dizon. There's also Cherry, Live Great Mercado. Well, nice. You have a pretty nice first name, Live Great Mercado. And that's it. Yeah, thank you guys for following us on Spotify. And again, just go to freelanceblend.com/Spotify to subscribe to the show, and you'll be notified once we have new shows, new episodes available. So thank you for that. And now we on to our guest. So I met this person sometime last year in one of our creatives and entrepreneurs meetups, and I think that time she was still building her company, and I'm glad to reconnect with her to talk about her platform that really helps our Pinoy freelancers get jobs from businesses in the US. So we have with us none other than Brianna Carney. She's the founder of Crewbloom. That's CREWBLOOM. Crewbloom at crewbloom.com. It's a remote outsourcing company that connects Pinoy freelancers with clients abroad. So hello, Brianna.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to reconnect.
Yeah, it's an honor to have you on the show. And so when you were at the meetup last year, we talked about Crewbloom, and this is your chance to discuss and talk about how your company will help Filipino freelancers. So thank you for being on the show.
It's my pleasure. I'm really, really excited. We believe strongly that the Filipino workforce is the best in the world. So there's no other market we're excited to connect with.
Thank you. That really gives me goosebumps whenever I hear that, and I know that we can really well. It's been my passion to inspire Filipinos and to let them know that there are many opportunities, not just in the corporate world, but online. And I'm happy that people like you create opportunities for us here. So can you tell us a bit more about your background first? What you were doing before you started Crewbloom?
Of course. So my background is in business development. I was with Amazon before deciding I needed to step away from the corporate environment as well.
What's that company? Amazon? I haven't heard of that.
So good. Well, if you haven't, we can reconnect offline. Send me a link. I'll share.
Yeah, I'm a big Amazon fan, so that's great for you to be working for that company.
Yeah, it was a great experience, and I think that having the ability to go in and to be on my own after coming from the corporate environment was an advantage. I then spent a year in Asia, and I spent time in India, which of course is a stronghold of the BPO space. And I ended in the Philippines, where I was overwhelmed and moved to action. A lot of my friends in the ecosystem in New York were struggling to find professionals, and so I just thought that it was time.
Mm-hmm. So, how long did you work in Amazon?
Yep. So I was there. I was there a few years out of business school, so 3 years at Amazon. We are moving into our second year at Crewbloom. I just turned 30, so we really, Kate and myself, Kate is my co-founder, we're really, really excited about having a bit of corporate experience, but really learning every day by putting our ideas into action.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned that you traveled to Asia, to India, and here to the Philippines. What led you to travel? Is it because of your work for Amazon?
So actually, I just, for whatever reason, have always wanted to just spread my wings. I think that traveling is something that I did right after I graduated college, before I moved to New York. So I was born and raised in Minnesota. And after college, I graduated school a year early. And so while all of my friends were kind of wrapping up their studies, I headed to Europe and just really understood that the world is really diverse and it's massive, and we're really, really small within our universe. And so I think that the more we know and the more courage we have, then the more we seek to learn and understand, the better we'll be.
Mm-hmm. And during those travels in Asia, what did you discover about the people, and what led you to build Crewbloom?
Yeah. So great question. So I think that when we look at the Eastern and Western workforces, there's way more commonalities than differences, right? Like we in the Western developed world recognize performance and top performers. Top performers want to love coming to work. They want to have really meaningful work opportunities, and they also want to provide for their passion, whether that be their family or extracurriculars, whatever that may be. And so that I feel is kind of a common denominator between all humans on the planet. And I think that once you experience and understand that culture more inherently, you're able to identify that, wow, humans are all quite similar. Mm-hmm. And that being said, when I got back from my travels to New York, I reconnected with quite a few people that were in the startup ecosystem here. And the absolute reality is that affording top performers in the U.S. is crippling. And that being said, I felt so strongly. I had just left the Philippines, and I knew without a shadow of a doubt that the professionals here were at a caliber that was something I couldn't ignore. And so at that moment of time, I put an ad out on Craigslist. I just had an instinct. Kate, my co-founder, was the first person that responded, and she single-handedly proved my hypothesis that indeed Filipinos were more sophisticated, more instinctual, and more capable than I maybe had even anticipated to begin with.
Okay. Let me backtrack a bit. You mentioned that you found finding top performers in the U.S. Was crippling. So what do you mean by that?
Yeah, great question. So I think that when we look at customer service, business development, anything that's client or prospect facing, it's the face of your company. And so the bar can't be lowered. you need someone that is really excited to show up to work every day. They're excited to show up early and to stay late. And unfortunately, in the Western developed world, when we look at affording top talent, like the cream of the crop, right, folks that are going to be with us for the long run, it's really expensive. It's really costly. We look at things such as benefit packages, in-office consumables, and that doesn't really even touch on things such as attrition and turnover costs. And so for me, if we look at just the reality that a round-trip Uber ride in New York City to the airport is $100, and in Manila it's $15, it's kind of a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so and then you mentioned that you posted in Craigslist and you found Kate, and so what in particular did you post there, and how did you so to give our listeners a background, so Kate is your co-founder. I met her also here during the meetup. She's based here in the Philippines. So yeah, what led to that connection?
So I think some things.
So you already did you already have the Crewbloom in mind when you connected with her?
I did. So at that point of time, I was going out and trying to connect with U.S.-based companies. I really saw that there were a lot of pain points surrounding business development and customer service. Call centers, of course, are what we consider and think of in terms of outsourcing, but I knew things could be done better. And so I put an ad up on Craigslist for someone that was hungry, eager to learn, and eager to join a startup. Kate was I interviewed a few people. Kate was brought on immediately, and she single-handedly proved my hypothesis. We wouldn't be where we are today without her, and she's been here since inception. And so together we've grown Crewbloom.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just curious, what kind of role that does Kate have, and how did she exceed your expectations, as you said?
So initially out of the gate, I was overseeing a lot of the domestic responsibilities, overseeing client relationships. I was reaching out and closing new business. And Kate was overseeing all recruitment and operations. She was doing so much. It's really hard to wrap it all up simply under that umbrella. But the reality is that certain connections happen in life, and they're really, really meaningful, and energy just feels right. And so with Kate, I think immediately her instinct, her level of sophistication. Kate is someone that her ability to perform was so transparent and so obvious after month one. I knew that we would not have an opportunity to succeed without her. And so immediately we just got to work, and we've been working ever since.
Uh-huh. So Kate, if she's listening right now, she we're talking about her. She might be, I don't know, biting her tongue because we've been talking about her. So, yeah, hello, Kate. Thank you for listening to the show. And you're the star of the show now.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
We have
and
an
your company.
That's the truth. She is the queen. And undoubtedly there's something to be said about understanding Filipino culture. As much as I want to or pretend that I know Filipino culture inherently, I'm learning every day. But she proves it, right? So when Kate got on the phone in some of those initial client closes that we had, and she was able to prove herself, undoubtedly that's the reason why Crewbloom became a company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, speaking of that, Crewbloom becoming a company. So after connecting with Kate, and so what happened next when you started working on a company and launching it?
Great question. So I think for Kate and I, there were a ton of lessons that had to be learned. I think that being
Is it your first startup?
it was not. So I had a travel startup before that did not come to fruition. But in terms of having when you're working on something alone, and then there you have a team, it's just night and day. So truly, Crewbloom was my first organization that ever proved revenue, and it was Kate's first startup. And so that being said, we had a lot to learn. And there's a lot of lessons, and I think that the beauty of us is that we're each other's better half in a sense. So one of the things that I respect about Kate the most, and one of the things that I think is somewhat challenging oftentimes, is that you need to be challenged. It's great to get praise, and recognition is really important, especially as a leader. But what's more important, especially in a co-founder founder relationship, is that I needed to trust that she could tell me when we could be doing things better. I needed her to be able to be like, Brianna, wait. Let's take a step back. Let's just make sure about this. And we challenged each other in a way that I think was nothing short of harmonious.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So your relationship with Kate is really interesting because especially for our listeners who are freelancers who work with foreign clients, that it should be also like a partnership that you have, that it's also trust and respect for each other. And that's why the reason for my questions. I'm really interested in the dynamics of the team, because I also have my clients and also have that kind of relationship with them. So well, thank you for sharing that.
It's so important.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's a reason why sole founders are less successful than when we have a team. And we all need to be supported, and I'm forever thankful for her.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's also a lesson for you, because you'll be connecting clients with professionals as well. And if your team is not in sync, then you won't be able to spread that message, and grow your company.
Of course, humans are required in the process of growth. It requires that. Humans are the oxygen to growing as a company.
Mm-hmm. So when you visited us here last year, Crewbloom was just a year old, or?
Yep. So we were at that point in time going into month 8, I believe.
Okay.
So at that point of time, Kate and I spent. It's even I have to chuckle even reflecting about our time that trip, but we spent countless nights at our co-working space, 6 in the morning, 8 in the morning, trying to hit contractual deadlines, just trying to really maximize our time together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that so it's tough, right? Because every day we pitch that work can be done without face-to-face collaboration. But it's really important, I feel like, for those that are on a leadership team and deeply invested in the outcome of the organization. Kate and I, of course, have equity in the company, and so it's our lifeline, it's our lifeblood, and it's our baby, for lack of better terms. And so parents need to come together at a certain point of time, and it was so important for us. It continues. I'm excited to fly out again in a few days.
You're coming back, yeah. Speaking of that trip to Manila, how did you find out about the meetup, and what made you come to the meetup?
Great question. So at that point of time, we were really looking and we were interested in scaling our leadership team. Our leadership team is called the Mannies, of course, based on none other than Mr. Pacquiao himself. Okay. And we just believe that we're the toughest, most fierce fighters. But I think before making those hiring decisions and us really feeling comfortable in extending those offers, I wanted to meet top tier professionals face to face. And so I spent a ton of time doing that. We went to also networking events just to connect with potential contractors and just to shake hands and to better understand We learned really quickly. Again,
Mm-hmm.
every day we prove that Filipinos are the absolute best. And so for me, it was just a pat on the back being there. It always is. The
Mm-hmm.
Philippines, there's nowhere better in the world.
Thank you. That again, that gives me goosebumps when you talk about our country and our people. So were you able to get some people after that trip?
Of course. So it was extremely productive for us. For us to recruit, we went on a huge hiring spree then thereafter. We had one of our best quarters ever, and it really helped propel us to where we are today. Yeah, it was
good for you. So how big is the team now from a team of 2?
Yeah, so the core of our business is now, well, it's difficult. We have the core of the business, and then we also have like part-timers doing things such as development and dev. We will go on a dev sprint, etc. We have 14, I believe, now on the core full-time, which is great for us. So that is everything from a lead team to operations to creative to social to dev, finance. So it's
Wow.
it's exciting.
I'm
We've
happy.
learned a
I'm
lot.
happy for you
Thank you.
that things are working out well. Now let's talk about Crewbloom. So it's based on the on your about page of it's an outsourcing. It's a remote outsourcing company for freelancers, for professionals to connect with clients. So can you talk more about what makes do you consider Crewbloom a platform like Freelancer, like Upwork, and how do you differentiate your platform from the rest, or your company from the rest?
Great question. So I like to think that the best and the brightest professionals want a long-term, full-time opportunity. And so that's one of the main differentiators when you look at a professional that's considering joining or applying at Crewbloom. Crewbloom, in addition, it vets every single contractor, and we have a really rigorous screening process. It's really important if we want to raise the bar to deliver a higher caliber of talent. The call center industry is massive, and the reality is that there's individuals who are more excited about being in the space than others, and so Crewbloom really tries to identify those professionals. We also live and breathe by 7 core values, and so that's something that's really important for us. And so identifying people that we're not only confident in that are going to perform, but professionals that our clients are going to love working alongside. Because it's really important nowadays when you look at a startup in an organization and what's their DNA, what makes that organization special, it's their culture, right? So we want to ensure that Crewbloomers exude culture that our clients are going to find attractive for the long run.
So I noticed that it caters to professionals in the Philippines. Is that correct? It's exclusively for Filipino professionals, because you mentioned you visited also India, and India is, if I'm not just mistaken, still the number 1 in terms of outsourcing. So why not India and why the Philippines, or why not both?
Great question. So the reality is that we at Crewbloom, there's a bit of human capital investment that goes into screening each candidate. And when we understand the outsourcing space better, I believe that communication skills set them apart. How is it that we're going to be able to not only engage customers, how are we going to foster relationships and bring that to close, or to bring that to resolve, so in the customer service space. And Crewbloom immediately found that there's an abundance in the Philippines. And when we compare it side by side, what was at our disposal in India versus the Philippines, the comparison just simply wasn't there. Kate and I have worked extensively looking at emerging markets. Eastern Europe is an emerging outsourcing market. There's Central and South America. And by and large, we swear by the Filipino workforce as being the most sophisticated, capable in the world today.
And the friendliest people.
That's the truth.
Really?
I could on. But they fight relentlessly. Filipino people have values that set them apart. And I could elaborate ad nauseum about why we're excited about that market alone today. At some point of time, we hope our model will scale and be able to empower remote workers from other walks and other nationalities. But today and tomorrow, we're excited about the Philippines.
Okay. Well, that's really, again, inspiring to hear. So what are the steps for... So you mentioned that Crewbloom caters to top performers, meaning maybe the cream of the crop, whereas other marketplaces, it's really for everyone, from top to bottom, so from high fees to low fees. So what are the steps? So now we've talked about the company, and I'm sure people who are listening now are very interested to join, and if they can... if they realize that I'm a top performer, I want to join Crewbloom. So, what are the next steps for them?
Yeah, so Crewbloom has an extensive interview process. We are working every day to make our platform more accessible for the contractors. So that being said, we are working on an internal platform that will help with the application process and streamlining that. The interview process is 5 steps. So looking and evaluating communication skills, past performance, pitching and resolving, and then also looking at culture alignment, and then of course like requirements and what it's going to take to make you successful and happy in the role long term. We have a mantra that we say at the start of the week. We start the week and end the week saying we're growing companies with the best outsourced professionals who love what they do. And so I think the love what they do piece is really, really important and oftentimes overlooked. And so for us, there has to be a connective energy. We really want to connect with folks that are really, really excited to show up to work every day.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, if I'm interested to sign up, so I just go to your website, crewbloom.com/careers.
/careers, exactly.
And then yeah, and then I'm sure just a sign up process. Do I need to prepare anything like, I don't know, identification?
Great question. So we require all Crewbloomers to have LinkedIn profiles. I think that having an optimized LinkedIn profile is really important for professionals regardless of where they are in the world. We require once you're engaging in the interview and once you're making it through rounds that you're preparing. So preparation is really important, and especially when we're looking at interviewing you in the home office that you will likely be working at throughout your career with Crewbloom. And so things like putting forth some time and energy, having good lighting is really important, being buttoned up, being timely is really important. And then when we look through to the most challenging rounds of the interview, which would be the sales pitch and the resolution pieces of the interview, preparation is really key there. And then lastly, when you make it through the final rounds, we require the preparation of a video introduction. So that's what we present to our client partners. So essentially, we will then there advocate for you when we find a role that we think is a great fit. And it's really important that you have a script prepared. It's a give or take a minute, just introducing yourself and really selling why you would be the best fit for their team.
Mm-hmm. So the 5-step interview process is done by Crewbloom, not the client.
Correct. It's done by Crewbloom. We give the client partners the opportunity to interview with them, and we want to build trust along the way. However, without a doubt, we are familiar with the outsourcing space, and we want to continue to empower our client partners to focus on growing their businesses. And so trust needs to be built from the inception of our partnership that we are going to select humans that are exceptional. It's going to be more of a tandem effort moving forward. We're really working on shortening the interview process and making it a little bit more scalable in that way. But today and tomorrow, we really have to vet people. It's really important for us.
Okay. My other question would be, before I reach the first interview, do you already approve or decline? So based on what you see in their LinkedIn profile, or everyone will go through the process?
Great question. So not everyone's invited to the initial interview. We have a recruitment team, of course, and our recruitment team scours LinkedIn daily. So we try to attract individuals based on outbound, and then of course there's the inbound process. And very few make it to the first round. Just to set expectation that Crewbloom's raising the bar, and so coming into Crewbloom and applying and having your LinkedIn profile already optimized, having all your work experience listed is definitely going to give you a better shot.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, it makes sense. So what types of job categories are available, and yeah, so how will I know if I'm fit for Crewbloom? So you said that at least you have an optimized LinkedIn profile. So in short, what are you looking for, and so that people who are listening know if it's if they should give it a shot or not.
Of course. So Crewbloom handles the entire business development spectrum. So everything from a non-voice appointment setting, non-voice lead generation and entry, lead scoring and qualification, all the way through to upsell and account management. So it's really varied. I understand that the outsourcing and the call center industry today has a very wide reach, and the experience that Filipino professionals have is extensive, to say the least. We launch customer service. We are really excited about that opportunity. So customer service, of course, can be supported with non-voice and voice roles. And then the bread and butter of our business has been, over the past 2 years, sales, so outbound telesales. And so really, if you consider yourself a top performer, and if you've performed previously in your role, and you're excited to show up early and stay late, and you're excited to work remotely, get in touch with us. There's absolutely, without a doubt, going to be an eager Crewbloomer excited to navigate that application and excited to have a conversation. And then also we have a core business team. And so we're always looking for Crewbloomers to join the core of our business, because Crewbloom also needs to attract new clients. And so by and large, we're just excited to connect with everyone.
Okay. So you're saying if they having experience in the BPO industry is a plus. If you're doing this work like lead generation, account management, sales, so non-voice customer service, am I correct?
Yep. So things like chat support, things like non-voice appointment setting. To condense it, if you have experience in the BPO industry, we've even really been excited to introduce entry-level folks to our clients. So truly, by and large, we're just looking to connect with the absolute best and brightest. And if you are part of that group, it's gonna be to our advantage to connect with you and find you a role.
Mm-hmm. And what types of companies are you catering to? Are there small businesses, large corporations?
Great question. So Crewbloom has has really, really been able to be successful in a great variety of industries. So everything from pharma to fintech to media to advertising. The common denominator between all of our clients is that they know what works and what doesn't. So we're not going to help a startup launch a sales team because they don't have scripts in place. They don't have a sales leadership team. They haven't learned enough lessons. But what we are excited to do is to help companies that know what works and what doesn't scale rapidly because they're in need of that human capital. And so some of our client partners have 20 employees and some of them have 400 or 500. And we're excited to be closing bigger and bigger organizations every day. One thing that is very common in the call center industry is requiring 100 agents to launch. That we're not capable of doing because that would require us to lower our bar and to not meet our quality standards. But the client partners that we serve are varied greatly.
So do you also screen your clients, the clients?
Great question. So our lead team works relentlessly to find organizations. Going back to our mantra, we want people and need people to love showing up to work. And so that being said, our client partners have to align with our values. Unfortunately, we see in the outsourcing space a lot of companies that are looking to take shortcuts, right? A lot of opportunities that are for example, commission-only sales that are ridiculously rigorous, right? There's certain industries that we simply won't entertain. We want to understand it, and as a business, Kate and I, before signing any account, say to one another on a one-on-one call, would we want to work here? Would we feel that we could be successful here? Do we want to work alongside their leadership team? And if both Kate and I would be excited about the opportunity, we'll move forward with the account.
Okay. So yeah, thank you for explaining that. I'm getting a better picture now of what Crewbloom is all about and why our listeners our viewers should sign up, check it out, especially those who have BPO experience. So let's say I go through I pass all the interviews. What's the next step? Is Crewbloom a platform? Do I work inside it like an Upwork where I get tracked for time? Do I work directly with the client and follow? I work as an employee of that company, and so all those questions are in my mind. So if you don't mind shedding light on that.
I'd love to. So one of the things that we think is really, really important is that we want their Crewbloom team to be treated and to have a sense of inclusion, right? So we don't want by any means for our client partners to not be able to communicate with their team on a very regular basis. We partnered with Time Doctor, so that's our remote team tracking tool. So that's how we log hours and build trust with our client partners. But Crewbloom's building a portal that will help to track and manage things such as KPIs and call volumes and expectations. Again, some accounts aren't requiring voice, which looks a bit different. Their KPIs and metrics are more volume-based. However, Crewbloom is going to work in tandem with the client partner throughout the entire partnership. So by no means is Crewbloom just simply passing them over. By no means is Crewbloom taking full ownership of the day-to-day leadership. But Crewbloom has a team leader that's dedicated to each account that will work as someone that's an aspirational leader for them, someone that they can go to, someone that knows what they had for lunch and dinner, that's going to ask them what's going on this weekend, because that's really important for top performers. And again, one of the values of outsourcing for our client partners is that the time capital of their leaders is really valuable. And so for them, we're requiring them to conduct a 2-week training period. At the conclusion of the 2-week training period, is when true tandem leadership will start between our team leader and their client partner leadership team.
Okay, I don't quite understand a bit. I'm sorry. When you say team leader, so team leader is somebody who's part of the Crewbloom team who takes care of the what do you call the freelancer or the professional?
A contractor.
Contractor. So the team leader takes care of the contractors for the client. So does the contractor have a direct communication with the client?
Yep. So both. They can reach out to the client or their team leader. But by and large, we found that the team leader will be their main point of contact throughout. And then the client partner will communicate with the team leader on a very regular basis. And so just having someone that's there for you always as a backbone, handling things and navigating things like day-to-day HR concerns, time off requests, and coaching opportunities for underperformance, etc.
Okay, so it's sort of you're really more of like a virtual agency.
Precisely.
Am I correct? Yeah. So in terms of, let's say I'm the contractor. In terms of the payment will come from Crewbloom, not the company, not the client. Okay. I think it's very interesting, especially that more and more people are getting interested in online work or freelancing, especially with the traffic here. And I saw your reaction there with the traffic here. It's really a problem, and Crewbloom really would address a need, especially I think that a lot of people who are in the BPO industry may not be ready to become like a freelancer, a solopreneur, a solo freelancer. And I think if correct me if I'm wrong, Crewbloom will be like transition them into they're somehow like a freelancer, but they're also still working in the corporate world. It's just that they're virtual. Am I correct in my understanding?
You are. So I think that it's really important to identify that remote workers are really individuals that are special. We dream of a world every day where there's no office buildings, but the reality is that sometimes professionals enjoy going into a workplace environment.
Yeah.
But by and large, if you've ever been inspired to work on your own and really thought outside of the box of what we think of as the professional environment, Crewbloom is an exceptional opportunity for you, because there's a lot of freedom and flexibility when you look at remote work, right? Like if I want to spend my lunch break playing catch with my son, or catching up on sending out some thank you cards to my family, I should be entitled to do so. And as a result, Crewbloomers have a commonality amongst them, that they're really self-motivated and driven.
And the quality of life really improves when you're at home with your family. I've heard stories from friends who are working in the BPO industry who don't get to see their family because they work at night and they come home, their children are sleeping, and then so this, although there might be jobs in Crewbloom that will be a night shift still, but still they're still home, they still will see their families.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I think that you said that's so important is that traffic in the NCR region is crazy. I live in New York, and I will never forget being in gridlock traffic in Manila last time I was there. And I am quite a timely person. And I literally was just on the phone with Kate, and I was like, Kate, what can I do? And she was like, Brianna, just welcome to Manila. Like, this is just what we go through every day. And so I think for Crewbloom, there's something to be said also about the environmental impact of remote work, and there's something to be said about being able to work in a place that's comfortable for you, being able to design your own work environment, and being able to really kind of determine your fate in a little bit better environment than what the professional corporate environment of call centers is typically offering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really the traffic is really a big problem, and it won't be fixed soon. And I'm happy that I'm working from home, and a lot of the freelancers I know are really I really love doing remote work, and are no longer considering working back going back in the corporate world in their traditional jobs. So hats off to Crewbloom for creating something that's unique, and that will even give opportunities for those who are top performers. And as I said, they can transition into working in this agency type of setup before maybe working on their own as a freelancer.
Music to my ears. I'm just so thankful for the opportunity to share what we're up to, and we're really excited about what's on the horizon for us. And by and large, folks like you that are spreading and promoting professional growth and development, and helping people to expand their blinders and understand the total spectrum of opportunities that's in front of us is so appreciated.
Yeah. Likewise, I really also appreciate this conversation and what you're doing. So with that, can you invite our listeners and viewers? How can they join Crewbloom, and how can they reach out to you if they have questions and if they want to connect with you?
Of course. So night or day, I'm accessible to anyone with questions regarding outsourcing, with questions regarding the startup ecosystem, what Kate and I have been up to. I can be reached at Brianna at Crewbloom.com. So that's B as in Bravo, RIANNA at Crewbloom.com. And Kate, Kate at Crewbloom. Just follow us on social channels. So follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook. We have an Instagram account. And again, just keep in touch with us. We are so excited to connect with folks that are listening to podcasts like this. And so I'm just so excited to connect with you. Just keep in mind referrals. So if there's someone in your network that has I'm curious about remote work, we would just love for you to keep us in mind.
Mm-hmm. And maybe if they have somebody who they know who will benefit from this interview, just share this podcast interview or this video with their friends, especially who are in the BPO industry right now. They are frustrated and they want to change in their lives, and maybe Crewbloom can help them.
So good. We're so excited to connect with blenders. By and large, the really exciting part about the BPO space is that I believe that domestic Western clients are really understanding the value of seeing the entire world as their human capital pool. And so we're just excited to get out there and prove ourselves.
All right. So thank you again, Brianna Carney, founder of Crewbloom. And regards to Kate, who is an avid listener, thank you for again this interview, for sharing your story and sharing with us your company that will help our countrymen improve their lives. So thank you very much, Kate. Brianna.
We are so thankful for you, and I can't wait for grabbing a cup of coffee or lunch when I'm in Manila.
Yeah, just let us know, and we'll probably invite also a few blenders who are interested to find out more about Crewbloom and have an informal meetup.
I would love the opportunity. Just thank you so much, and we'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you, and have a great day to you.
Perfect. And thanks again. Just one last shout out to the Filipino workforce. I believe strongly the fiercest fighters in the world.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Marv.
Bye.
Bye.